Hello, my friend. I'm so excited to dive into this week's podcast episode for you on this week's astrology. Oh my goodness. This is going to be quite a week. We have a full moon in Aries coming up the week afterwards, but in this episode, I'll be diving deep into this full moon in Aries chart for you to be better prepared. I will also share how I use astrology for decision making, especially when dating, and how you could potentially use this too. And then I will end off this podcast episode with a tarot reading of what energy to embrace, what energy to let go of. So let's just dive right into it. Starting off with October 1st, we have Mercury in Libra in a square to Jupiter in Cancer. This looks like a really big day for communication. This looks as though you're having multiple conversations with people. You could also be in a place where you're having these conversations at home or with a family member. This could also potentially look like trying to decipher what to do in a situation with a partner. And it is very lucky in the same sense. However, you can kind of burn out in terms of communication because Jupiter, although lucky, it can cause us to overbook ourselves. It can cause us to underestimate what we actually have to do, and then we can take on too much. So be cautious of this. You could feel as though you have back-to-back meetings this day. You could feel as though there's just a lot on your plate in terms of communication, in terms of trying to navigate planning ahead. So keep this in mind. Now then on October 3rd, we have Venus conjunct the South Node in Virgo. And this is a very karmic day. This is especially a karmic day for relationships. Now, I actually do think this can be a celebration in terms of a potential relationship or a money win. However, there's a lot from the past that can be brought up right now. So even though this is taking place, even though this is happening, there's something here where you could hear from someone from your past. You could potentially hear from an ex or some long lost friend, for example. This is a day where you're trying to let go of some relationship patterns or even some habits when it comes to money. This is great to be aware of. I also see this as letting go of how you picture a situation to be. So perhaps you're trying to make something happen, or perhaps you're trying to overthink what this could look like. Yeah, this is a day where it's really encouraged to let go of a perspective that is keeping you stuck when it comes to it has to look a certain way in order for this to take place. It has to be a certain way. This is perfectionism. This is any type of judgment or criticality. This is a day to let go of this. However, I do actually really like Venus conjunct the South Node because it kind of shows us, okay, where is the love? What can I do to really acknowledge that I still have compassion and empathy for this person from my past? I still have compassion and empathy for who I once was. I still have compassion and empathy for what I am trying to do for myself, but also my relationships. And this is a good day to actually go through your budget and see, okay, am I spending money on something I don't value? How can I let go of this? Maybe it's a subscription, perhaps something that doesn't really fulfill your cup. Keep this in mind. Now, I also want to mention that this is a karmic day. So yes, some relationship lessons can come up this day because the nodes represent fate and destiny. So with Venus conjunct the South Node, this is us understanding something from our past in a new light. Perhaps you have more love and compassion for a past situation. This also can feel quite healing. Now, on the same day, we have Mercury in Libra opposing Chiron in Aries. This feels uncomfortable. This feels like we're having some conversations in relationships that can potentially trigger us. This feels like an old wound around our sense of worthiness is coming up right now when it comes to being in a relationship. May this be the feeling of being chosen. May this be the feeling of not feeling worthy of the love you're seeking. And this is the day to have these difficult conversations. However, just know that people can feel a little bit more tender and sensitive. I personally would wait a few more days until after this transit passes so that you can feel a bit more grounded if you know you have to have a difficult conversation with someone. People can feel very on edge this day because of this. And this in itself also looks like maybe, for example, you're feeling taken for granted in a relationship, or there's something here where someone's being a bit more intense. This could also look like a day when someone is feeling a bit more vulnerable and sensitive, and they could potentially share a lot when it comes to what they're going through. So this can be helpful. This can be a very healing thing. However, just take note of this because it really depends on where someone is in their life to have this conversation so that you don't feel overwhelmed as well. Yet I do see the potential of this day being a day where you can really get closer to someone. Even if this trigger comes up, triggers are coming up for you to heal. Triggers are needed for us to see, okay, in which ways am I still hurt by a past situation? In which ways am I still not over a certain narrative? So keep this in mind. I still think this can be a very beneficial day when it comes to this, but I really see this as a really great day for some self-reflection on what you're kind of looking for in a relationship, or which relationships in your life do you still want to improve upon in terms of deepening that relationship. Do you need to have a conversation with someone? Does it need to be more real and vulnerable? Keep this in mind. And those are the major transits of this week for you. So it is going to be a very healing karmic week. I will say that. Now let's dive into the full moon in Aries chart for you, which is happening the week afterwards on October 7th, October 6th on the Eastern time zone. Now this full moon in Aries is happening on October 6th at 11:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's happening at 14 degrees of Aries. And to be honest, I think this is going to be a very supportive full moon in terms of a release. I think this is going to be a full moon where you're celebrating something, especially a personal milestone. And I say this because the ruler of this full moon is Mars in Scorpio. So there's something here that you've been working on, perhaps behind the scenes, perhaps this is something you set up where it's not very public. Perhaps you are working on a project that you weren't able to share and now you're finally able to put it out there. I think a lot of the major themes for this full moon is something you've been taking action on, and it's very supported in terms of Mars being in its home sign of Scorpio. So this really looks like, okay, I'm celebrating something I've worked hard on. I am in a place where perhaps this could be a potential relationship that is under wraps. Perhaps this could be a project that you were working on for quite a bit of time, and now you're in a place of putting it out there, releasing it, or you're getting the acknowledgement of a past work situation. Now, I do think a relationship is really highlighted with this full moon, even though I will say the new moon in Libra will really focus on relationships. Because this full moon is in the sign of Aries, but it's again opposing the sun in Libra since that is a full moon. This is an energy where a relationship could really show you a lot more about who you are, who you're becoming. Yet I really see this as you're in a good place of acknowledging your own growth and being able to celebrate with someone close to you. However, I really think there can still be some really intense conversations that take place this day for you. So I'm saying this because Mercury enters Scorpio, and at 0 degrees of Scorpio, Mercury is opposing Pluto in Aquarius. So there's some very deep conversations you could be having this day. It could feel as though someone is being a bit more manipulative or controlling. it feels as though a situation here can feel a bit forced. So keep this in mind because yes, I do see this full moon as being a time of celebration. However, there might be someone who's not particularly happy about the celebration, or there's someone you feel like you have to prove yourself to, or there's someone here that's not being fully honest with you and you're realizing this, and certain secrets are coming out around this now. Now, I will also say this is still going to be a very healing day. Chiron is still in Aries, and Jupiter in Cancer is making a square to Chiron in Aries for this full moon. We're going to feel this for the new moon in Libra as well later this month, but this is going to be an opportunity for some really deep healing work, especially when it comes to how you see your sense of worthiness, how you are kind of receiving that love, how you are acknowledging being seen by others, or how you want to be seen by others, yet perhaps you're feeling as though you're not being seen by a certain relationship or person. Jupiter square Chiron in this full moon chart is really amplifying the potential for certain triggers to come up. However, the beneficial thing for this is witnessing that you're going to feel a lot better afterwards. You're going to feel a lot better after these releases. So potentially, for example, you get a trigger and it reminds you of an ex or a past situation, a family situation from your past, and you're crying it out. Jupiter in Cancer really amplifies our emotions. It wants us to feel everything. So you're crying it out and you realize it was stuck within your body. That pain, that hurt was stuck there. Yet with this square to Chiron, it's helping us see, oh my goodness, there's still something I'm healing from. There's still something I need to let go of this past situation. And Venus will still be conjunct the South Node during this time. So there's still some very karmic situations occurring around this time. You could still feel like, okay, I need to let go of the past now. I really just want to move forward. And I do think you're going to have some really good support for this. So even if these triggers are coming up for you, again, remind yourself they're coming up for you to heal. It will be beneficial. And if this is with a certain person that you're seeing in a relationship, this can actually bring you closer to that person because, again, I think we really develop relationships when we're able to be more honest, when we're able to be more vulnerable. And this could really help progress the relationship forward depending on what you want out of that relationship and if that relationship is good for you. Now, I will say Venus is opposing Saturn in this full moon chart. And with Venus being in Virgo, opposing Saturn in Pisces, this is an energy where it could feel a little bit more harder to express your love and affection. It could feel a bit harder to really witness, okay, the thought that someone has put into a certain gift, for example, or a certain intention that they're trying to show you. Venus opposing Saturn wants you to get very serious about the relationships you're in. It is also showing you who's going to step it up for you, who is really trying and making this effort, who is following through with their word, who is being thoughtful and considerate with Venus in Virgo. So this can feel a little bit tense. However, it is really helping you see which relationships to prioritize in your life. So we still have some really lovely support with this full moon. We still have this beautiful kite formation in the sky. We have Uranus in Gemini in a trine to Pluto in Aquarius. We still have Pluto in Aquarius in this sextile to Neptune in Aries. Neptune in Aries is still making a sextile to Uranus in Gemini. And this is really helping us see how we are supported in community, how we're supported in friendships, how we are reimagining our sense of self, and how we show up for a future that we believe in a future that we want for ourselves, how we are connecting to the people closest to us, but also in our local neighborhood or people overseas, or how we are seeing that we're all connected. So I do still think this is going to be a very healing full moon. I think it's going to be a bit emotional. I want to give you a heads up on that. I wouldn't overbook yourself this day, because this could be a day where a lot comes up for you that you want to tend to yourself. You want to tend to taking care of yourself, reassuring yourself and validating yourself in terms of what is taking place for you. And I do think you're going to get some really good clarity around how you are approaching your relationships and what you can do differently when it comes to this. How can you approach a relationship that feels very intentional, but also in a way that feels true to your authentic self? Now, if you want to dive deeper as to how this affects you specifically, I am hosting a full moon in Aries celebration with the Moon Sign Creative community. This is going to be so fun. It's going to be a really great event to really understand how this full moon is affecting your chart, while also doing a manifestation ritual to release the past, to call in new energy, to manifest your desires, but also feeling just more at peace with yourself. Members of the community have manifested healthier relationships, more sales in their business, dream trips, dream pets, dream homes, but also raises at work, money, and so much more. And the reason why is I'm going to guide you through a very curated manifestation ritual that is very unique. And manifestation rituals are amplified in community. And the reason why this energy is amplified in community is because members really value growth, connection, empathy. And as we all manifest together, this is an energy of setting a really good intention for the future, but also because I'm guiding you through a very curated, unique ritual. And this is going to really help you in terms of processing what's currently happening for you right now, while also clearing space and calling in what you want for your future. I honestly am so lucky for my community, because everyone is so sweet, so kind, so empathetic, so encouraging. We always celebrate each other's milestones. It's such a great place to celebrate wins and to just share what we're going through, even through difficult times. I think for myself, I've run the community for years. It's been since 2020, so over 5 years, I've been running this community. And I'm always so grateful, because a lot of the community members stay within the community after years, because we get to see each other's growth in monumental ways. And the best way to grow is with other people who really have similar values as you. So the full moon in Aries celebration and manifestation ritual is taking place on Tuesday, October 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Replays are going to be available if you can't make it live, so don't worry. And I can't wait to see you there. I'll leave a link to that down below if you want to join us. And let's dive into the topic for this week. So this week's topic is actually inspired by one of my friends, and she had asked me, okay, why don't you share your decision-making skills using astrology? Because she's always so curious how I'm using the current transits to make major decisions in my life, and how this has benefited my life so greatly. It's been super interesting to share it with her and for other people. I know for my weekly podcast, I usually do share at least what my recommendation is for certain transits. Yet when I am kind of using astrology to set intentions for, let's say, dating, for example, for me, it's really understanding the current energy at play so that I can understand when to pull back my energy, when to take more action, but also how to plan ahead so that I don't burn myself out. And I think this is what people get the most frustrated with in terms of their daily life. There's always so much going on. We live in a world where we're always kind of being bombarded by so much information and so much to do. Whereas when we pay attention to what the planets are doing, when we pay attention to the current transits, it can really help us navigate and plan ahead and understand why a situation is taking place, and the importance of it, because that's going to also help us understand, okay, maybe this day I won't have this difficult conversation. Or if you have to have that difficult conversation, perhaps it's understanding that, okay, maybe I do talk to this person, but I am understanding this is coming up for a reason. This is coming up for my own personal growth. There's always a reason behind what is taking place. And sometimes I know it can be hard and devastating when you're going through something difficult, yet that doesn't mean it's going to be difficult forever. And that is the beauty of understanding the transits, because transits pass. The beauty of understanding astrology, of understanding how to read transits and understanding, okay, what can I do with this energy, is knowing not to, of course, take everything all at once. I think I want to preface this by saying, yes, sometimes I would get very excited in the past about a certain transit, or this has to happen at this time, right? Sometimes we have so much focus and so much intention with a certain transit, yet it could play out in different ways. However, for myself, it's learning, okay, I am going to take certain transits with a grain of salt, but it's good to be aware of what's happening so that I don't burn myself out, so that I don't take on too much, so that I can fully strategize what I'm going to do in my business and also relationships. And for me, what this has looked like in the last year, I will say, is knowing when to date, because sometimes it can feel very exhausting dating. It could feel like, oh my goodness, this is a lot of energy, it's a lot of effort. And for myself, I also look at my solar return chart to know which years are much better for me in terms of dating. Yet, understanding the transits, if you're not able to get a private session with someone, that can really help you gauge, okay, I'm not going to spend all my energy on this right now. I'm going to come back to this when Mars is in Scorpio, which it is. And I will just say I was so right about Mars in Scorpio, because I made this TikTok about how you should delete your dating apps until Mars gets into Scorpio, which took place on September 22nd. It's going to be there till November 4th. And this energy is so much better for dating, because you're going to see more people being more forward. You're going to see more people wanting to initiate, wanting to start a conversation. This is helpful, right? We need some people taking initiative, taking action for anything to happen. So when Mars was in Libra previously, people could have felt more wishy-washy. It could have been more difficult to get a full, definite answer about someone. You could have felt hot and cold about a certain person. You could have felt as though it's a bit trickier to understand how to approach this person. And with Mars and Scorpio, things are changing, because I see this as, Mars being in its home sign as a place for dating with intention, with Venus still in Virgo for a bit of time until October 13th, until Venus gets into Libra. When Mars is in Scorpio and Venus is in Libra after October 13th until November 4th, actually Venus will move into Scorpio in November. However, the end of October looks really, really lovely for dating, especially during the new moon in Libra. And this isn't for everyone, though. I want to preface this because you have your own unique birth chart. Certain time periods of the year are going to be better for you for dating. Yet for myself, it's me understanding, okay, I know this time of year is really beneficial for me personally as a Libra rising. And there's certain placements in my chart where this can be very supportive. Now, for myself, I don't want to waste time if I know a certain time period is not great for me to get a lot of work done, if I know a certain time period is not great for me to date. So what I did for Mars and Libra was delete my dating apps and then take some time, tell everyone to delete their dating apps. And now I'm saying re-download your dating apps if you are single. And also just acknowledge that with Mars and Scorpio, think we're going to get some really deep conversations because Mercury is also moving into Scorpio as well. So with this energy, this can be really, really helpful for us in terms of digging deep beneath the surface. I will say with Mercury in Scorpio later on that week, when we have the full moon in Aries, that is going to be a time when it feels like, okay, maybe someone's not fully disclosing everything. Maybe you have to guess. People are being mysterious. And of course, this could be really attractive in certain cases, yet not all the time, right? So keep this in mind. We're still trying to really figure out who is serious with Venus in Virgo. And that is very beneficial, very, very beneficial. So even for me, for myself, as someone who's been single for over 6 years now, of course it's been frustrating for me to find my person. Yet at the same time, my advice for someone who is in the same situation I'm in is to really learn to love your life to the fullest without a person. Do things that really nourish your soul. Do things that really replenish you, that excite you, that you're passionate about, because then you're not going to care so much about a specific person. And the advice I would give my younger self when I just went through that breakup was to just really focus more on my creativity, on my work, on my self-expression. And I will say I did focus a lot on my creativity. I did also really start up my business as well. So I did do a lot of work in the beginning of my business. So I was very strategic about that too, using astrology. Yet for myself, it's really understanding that transits will pass. So if you're going through a difficult time right now, I hope you find some solace in knowing that this time will pass. And that is the beauty of transits. That's the beauty of how certain transits affect your chart specifically. And I think my greatest superpower is understanding, okay, I have all this knowledge around astrology and understanding what is taking place in the current energies and how to navigate this, because there's certain transits that are better to rest, to recharge, and then there are other transits where it's the time to take initiative, it's the time to take action. So even with the full moon in Aries, it will be a time for rest, but I think you're going to be really busy. It will be a time when you have to take some mental breaks and you might need, a reset nap, for example, but I feel like it might be really busy for your business or dating life, for example, or just in how you navigate scheduling your relationships. So for myself, understanding how to make decisions using astrology has been life-changing for me personally, because for myself, it's understanding, okay, what can I do to set myself up for success? What does this look like? And I will say for my business, this has helped me immensely because it's understanding when to launch certain ways, what to do in terms of this, and also understanding when to publish things publicly, when to do things and work behind the scenes, what that looks like for me, and the timing of things can feel really rewarding, I will say. Again, I don't want you to put so much emphasis on it that it overwhelms you. However, the way to use astrology is to know that it's always working for you. This knowledge can be so beneficial in terms of navigating your life. And I think for me, just getting a lot of past clients reaching out saying that their past readings with me about their year ahead has helped them navigate really difficult situations that year, because usually I let someone have a replay of their reading, like I let them record it in the session so that they can watch it back if they need any support, if they need that guidance for the year. And I had so many clients reach out previously saying they keep rewatching the replay because they are getting so many things happening for them that they're so happy they're prepared for what's next for them. They're so happy that They had this because if difficult situations came up for them, they would rewatch the replay and understand, okay, this happened for a reason, and it's helping me navigate my new stage in life. It's helping me navigate this up level in my life. And it's really funny, I also will say I rewatch my VIP horoscopes for myself, because sometimes when I'm creating the horoscopes for you in terms of my VIP membership on Substack, if you're not on Substack, you should be on Substack, then I can rewatch these later on because I'm not really present when I'm recording them in terms of, oh, this is for me specifically because I'm a Libra rising, I'm a Leo sun, I'm a Cancer moon, I'm a Virgo stellium, yet I rewatch them because I want to just double check what I had said. And honestly, it's helped me so much reminding myself, oh, even though I wasn't intending to record this for me personally, I am getting this insight as to how to navigate my month ahead from myself, but from a different time period, because I always check them a few days later, and it gives me so much good, valuable information on how to plan my month ahead. So if you don't know, I just recently launched monthly horoscopes on my VIP membership, and they're only $8.88 this month. They will raise in price after October 1st. So you can go check that out because it gives you so much amazing information about the month ahead. This is a horoscope to really get you prepared, to really set intentions, and also to look forward to your month, because if you're excited for the month, you're going to get more done. You're going to put yourself out there on dates. If you know it's a good time to date, you're going to take that initiative, take that action. You're going to know which dates this is happening for you specifically based on your rising sign, based on your moon sign. And if you really want to look at your own unique birth chart and really do this for your year ahead with a solar return birthday reading, I have 5 spots left for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for your support in terms of my business, because it really does help me out. And I'm so, so grateful when past clients have reached out to me just saying that it's changed their life in terms of their career path. It's changed their life in terms of meeting the love of their lives. It's changed their life in terms of navigating difficult relationships and situations, and now realizing the greater purpose and meaning behind it so that they just have more peace and understanding for what is happening for them. So I decided to have my readings in November instead of October. So I am only booking for November now. I'm excited to see you for a birth chart reading or a solar return birthday reading if that speaks to you, if you feel called to book one. I honestly love giving them, and I hope that was helpful in terms of just really understanding how to use astrology for your life and how to make decisions using astrology that is still true for you, that's authentic to you, while also taking a grain of salt so that you don't make every single decision based on astrology, but in a way that feels very healing, that feels very encouraging and motivating. Now let's get into your tarot reading for this week. Okay, so the first card out is the Fool card. I love the Fool card. Honestly, this makes so much sense with the full moon in Aries, because I see this card as this brand new beginning. And yes, full moons are endings and closures. I should say this is a closing of a chapter for you in one area of your life. Yet the Fool card wants you to express yourself, to take a chance, to take a risk that hopefully is calculated in terms of that risk. Yet it's a card of knowing that sometimes you just have to take action on your intuition. Sometimes you just have to put yourself out there. Sometimes you have to take that brave step as to what is happening next for you. The next card out is the Knight of Swords, and I think we're gonna have a lot of communication this week for sure. Keep this in mind. I think you might have to set a boundary with someone this week. I know I said that last week, but again, a lot of healing in relationships this week. So with the Knight of Swords, this is a card, an opportunity to clear the air with someone, but also to speak your truth, speak your mind, and put yourself out there in a way that feels like it's being authentic to yourself, but also in a way that is direct and forward. The next card out is the Moon card. So really listen to your intuition this week. The Moon is a card where things can still feel a bit foggy or hazy as to what is coming up. Yes, full moons do bring us clarity, yet the Moon card wants you to listen to your intuition, even if there's no evidence right now. So the Moon is asking you, in what ways are you nourishing yourself? In what ways can you better take care of yourself? In what ways can you just trust the process of listening to your intuition? If something does not feel right, it's getting out of that situation. If something does feel right, it's taking that nudge to take action on that situation. So take some time for yourself. I see this card as a great reminder to meditate and to take a step back so that you're not overwhelming yourself. Our challenge this week is the Ten of Pentacles. So there's something here. I think this is going to be a karmic week, I should say, but there's something here where the challenge is witnessing what things could be with a certain person. That's what I'm hearing. I'm also hearing the message, okay, I thought things would be a certain way, or I want things to look a certain way, but I need to let this go. The Ten of Pentacles is showing you, yes, maybe this relationship was not what you expected romantically, or maybe this relationship is just showing you more stability and structure in your life, or you're witnessing more about what you truly want, what you truly desire. I really see this now, but this is a card to remind yourself that the challenge here can be choosing a person or a situation based on stability instead of alignment. Oh, okay, that was juicy. I will say that. Be aware of this, okay? Because sometimes we choose people because we think they're an easy yes. Sometimes we settle. The challenge here is settling, okay? Okay, yes, that's the message. So the challenge here is really settling in terms of a situation, and making sure you don't settle is going to be really, really important for you. Even if it's hard, even if you love a person, right? And I think that's kind of the challenge with a lot of relationships, because sometimes you know, okay, this person loves me, I feel comfortable now, but maybe it's not meant for you. Maybe it's not meant for your highest timeline. And I think this is a karmic week where you're going to realize, okay, am I settling because I'm afraid of being alone? Am I settling because I don't know who that next person is going to be? I don't know what the unknown holds, right? So I think this is the message for this week. I'm hearing it from Spirit. And I asked, how can we move through this? How can we overcome this challenge? And we got the Strength card. So I love the Strength card. This is a good reminder for you to really tune into your own authenticity. Tune into the strength within yourself, to remind yourself you always have your back. You're always going to be in a place of authenticity in terms of you to yourself. So speak authentically, be vulnerable. That is a superpower. And I really see this as a time for you to get clear and have honest conversations with people to see if you're aligned to someone in your life. Again, this doesn't need to be a romantic situation. This could be a business partnership, friendship, or a family situation. So remind yourself of this. Give yourself love, give yourself compassion, give yourself empathy. Make sure you're leading this conversation with compassion and empathy for the other person, but also yourself, right? And remind yourself that boundaries are compassionate. The only reason someone gets mad at you for setting boundaries is because perhaps they were taking advantage of you not having boundaries. Okay? Remind yourself of that. Now, I will say the bottom of the deck is the Magician card. I don't usually pull the bottom of the deck, but this is a great sign. Know that you can manifest what you truly want, right? Stop settling. Stop settling. I'm going to repeat that. Stop settling. And this is knowing that you can manifest whatever you want, right? Stop putting a timeline on things. Start enjoying your life as it is, to call in what you want, to call in your desires, because the more you feel good, the more you can prioritize yourself, the more you feel excited about your life, the more great opportunities are going to come to you, the more you're going to maximize your magnetism in calling what you want into your life. And if you want help with this, join the Moon Sign Creative Community for our full moon in Aries manifestation ritual, because it's going to be so good, so much fun. But I really love the back of this deck because honestly, this is a great sign. Your oracle cards is, it's not a competition. Great reminder for this full moon in Aries. You know, people, again, can feel a bit heated. People can feel a bit intense. People can get angry. I will say that luckily Mars is not really aspected in this full moon chart, but because it's ruled by Mars, some people can still get a bit angry. Okay, just keep this in mind. It's not a competition. Stop comparing yourself to other people on different timelines, on different life paths. It's a good reminder. You also got to be clear about what you want. You can't get what you want unless you know what you want. Remind yourself of this. And we ended off with cultivate stillness, a really beautiful reminder to practice that patience, that peace, and really stay present in the current moment, because that in itself is all we need. Oftentimes we don't really want that money or that love. It's more so being happy and present in the current moment, and then you're going to attract more of what you need into your life. And reminding yourself that you always have what you need within yourself is going to be really great for that. And again, I'm not talking about the perils and troubles of capitalism, because that's a whole different conversation. But this is a reminder to really step back into yourself. And if you're feeling scarcity, it's because you're not staying present. Remind yourself of that. So I really hope this helped, friend. Let me know in the comments if you've made it this far in the video. Comment bunnies. I'd love to see it in the comments. Comment bunnies. And if you'd like a private session with me and to save one of the last 5 spots of the year, I'll leave a link to that down below. And thank you so much for watching. Let me know if this resonated with you. Let me know what ends up happening for you. I love seeing your comments afterwards around what took place for you. It really gives me a lot of joy, and it helps me just create more content for you too. So thank you so much for watching, friend, and just remember, the universe has your back. And with peace and love, take care.